Capitalization of PPE Basics Problem 1. Pear Company plans to develop a shopping center. The following amounts were spent. Acquisition of land $18,000, surveys and legal fees $900, land clearing $300, fencing $6,000, installing lighting and signage $960. What amount should be recorded as the cost of the land in the company's books? We're looking at PPE, property, plant, and equipment. This question specifically is focusing on capitalization costs of the fixed assets. Fixed assets is a synonym for property, plant, and equipment. We're talking about long-lived assets, assets that are going to be around in the business for more than a year, that are not inventory, that are not intangible, they're tangible assets. So things like land, buildings, equipment, machinery, vehicles, those types of items. So capitalization, we're capitalizing items here, specifically land. Pear Company plans to develop a shopping center, and the following amounts were spent, and we're looking at the cost of land. So capitalization versus expensing. So some fixed assets, you have to spend costs, or Pear Company has to spend costs to keep the assets up in a certain condition. For example, our best example I like to use is a vehicle, like a truck. A vehicle, or a delivery truck, or a pizza truck if you're a pizza delivery company, whatever it is, you have a vehicle. If you are doing a major overhaul, you're replacing the engine, you're putting in something that's bettering the vehicle, like a delivery truck, you're putting a hydraulic lift on the back. That is an example of capitalization. You are doing a major overhaul, or you're bettering the item. But if you're doing just normal maintenance, keeping it in the normal condition, that is an example of an expense. So oil changes or rotating the tires, that's an expense. Now looking at all these costs, we have acquisition of land. That definitely is going to be capitalized in the cost of land. And that's what we're asked here. Remember, we're asked what amount should be recorded as the cost of land in the company's books. So that's referring to what amount should be capitalized as land as an asset, land on the books, on the balance sheet. So the acquisition of land, that amount, yes. What about surveys and legal fees? So the best way to think about it is the actual costs paid for the item and any costs to get the item, the property, plant, equipment, in working condition. So surveys and legal fees. If you are purchasing a land and you are putting a shopping center on that, are those surveys and legal fees normal costs to get that land ready for use in business? Yes. So that $900 does go in that. What about the land clearing? Does that go into this? Yes. Again, the question is, do you need to spend money on doing the land clearing to get it ready, get the land ready for operating as a shopping center? And the answer is yes, you do. What about fencing? So this is interesting. Capitalization versus expense. You're thinking capitalization, and you wouldn't be wrong. However, and again, this is all about being able to read the question carefully. It's asking about land. You say, oh yes, this is not capitalizing land. This would be capitalization of fencing. We would actually record fencing fence on the actual balance sheet as an asset. We would put fence or fencing on the balance sheet as an asset. Same thing with installing lighting and signage. Again, we would do capitalization, and we would put down on the balance sheet lighting and signage. The idea is that the fencing, the lighting and signage, they are separate components on this land that goes to the shopping center, and they also are considered assets that are long-lived. They will result in more than 1 year of use, and they go towards the production and activity of the business. So we just have three costs: acquisition of land, surveys and legal fees, and land clearing. We add all three of these together, and we get $19,200, and that is the land amount that we're going to put on the balance sheet with respect to these transactions. Again, the fencing and the install lighting and signage, those also go on the balance sheet as respective items: fencing and lighting and signage. So with that, you can really apply this analysis to other assets as well. If you're purchasing equipment and you're paying for installation, that would obviously go into the cost of the installation. That would go into the cost of the equipment, right? Machinery. If you're installing machinery into the floor of a building or onto the property, that would go on the actual machinery item, line item of the balance sheet, because it's, again, to get it in operating condition to conduct business, or to do business, to do activity for the business. So just think of that. You can use this example to apply to other things, buildings, machinery, vehicles, whatever it is. The idea is it a cost to get it ready to do business?